heartily welcome and chief guest Dr. Nipan Agarwal, Associate Professor, Institute of Management, Maharishi Margandishwar, deemed to be University, Mullana, Haryana, India. I welcome you, sir. Finally, I would like to welcome all the participants from various colleges and my dear colleagues. Once again, I welcome you all. A good introduction is essential to get a speaker off to a good start. I am proportionally over enjoyed to take the opportunity to introduce our today resource person. Dr. Nipan Agarwal is currently working as an Professor, Institute of Management, Maharishi Margandishwar, deemed to be University, Mullana, Haryana, India. Sir did his graduation in BTech in Electronics Communications Engineering from Kurukshetra University in the year 2007, MBA graduate from IPS Gurgaon in 2009. Later, he completed his PhD in finance from School of Management Studies, Punjab University, Patalia in the year 2016. Now it's very glad to inform that Sir had cleared UGC NET in Management in year 2012. I am happy to note that Sir has a versatile experience of over 30 plus years in teaching experience to management subject in many renowned business schools. Also, Sir has published various research papers in various national and international journals, and he published one book on the topic strategies financial management. He has participated in various number of conference and workshop of the record area, and his area of interest includes corporate finance, investment analysis, operations research, business research methods, etc. So it is an honor and a privilege for us, sir, to have you with us today, sir.
Thank you,
Welcome
ma'am.
you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am, for
Thank you,
your
sir.
thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Should I start, ma'am, or will wait for some time?
So you can start it now, sir.
Okay, fine. Thank you, ma'am. So I'm sharing my screen. One second. Hello. If screen is visible, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, so we are discussing today. So once, thanks for the warm introduction. And so we'll start with the topic today, like how to publish the article in the journals that road ahead. So I am Dr. Nipun Agarwal, Associate Professor in the Institute of Management, MMDU, Haryana. So I am like over the 14 years of experience till now in teaching the management subjects and the various research papers published in this management area. So today we'll discuss a brief about how we can publish the articles in the journals. So as you already know that nowadays the importance of research is there everywhere, whether we want to do the research for like maybe our PhD defend, or maybe otherwise we have to do the research. There is certain things we have the obligations being in academics. There is certain, like, we have to, for the growth purpose, we have to show that these are the like research credentials available. So for that purpose we want the research. And another also, like, if we want to have in the teaching line, we have to research ABC things, so that it will be add knowledge to the student based and all that. So research is finding its application everywhere, whether it is a management area, whether it is like any science area, whatever. The research will is a common subject which is having importance in each and every field today. So that's why there is. So now, in this particular discussion today, we have not mean into like how to do the research. So that is the research methodology, that all the points will cover, that how with the research can be taken off. So we are not discussing that thing, but now we are like, after research, after we have written the paper, how we can publish those articles in the journal. Because the objective is to make the things which we have researched available to the public. If I'm not like publishing my articles, or I'm not, I have done my research but it is with me only, it is of no use until and unless it becomes available to the users or to the readers or to the applicants who is actually make my research applicable. So I have made, suppose, a certain model, and I have researched a model of maybe like ABC topic. I have researched it, I have made a model, but it has a meaning when somebody applies that model in the real life. So until and unless I'm not making it published, it has of no use. So the thing is, the important part is, now I have written, so I'm not discussing that question, like how we can make our paper right or something, that we have already discussed in the maybe 4 days of the workshop, or the other things, how we can make the research available, what are the various tools for like data analysis, how we can make our sampling and all that. So there will be certain steps involved in the like research process. But now today we'll do with the understanding like how we can publish those articles in the journal. So that is our objective today in this session. So where to publish, what can be the effective journals, and journals are basically the one who is publishing the research for the various authors. So we will be discussing like what are the various types of journals available to us, what are the checkpoints to select the journals, so that it will be become an appropriate publication and it is available to the appropriate users and applicants also. So the objective is to reach to a specified users who can use my research for the upliftment of the knowledge, plus along with that to have the help for the further research, because research is a never ending process. I have done a research on a certain thing, a certain users will extend it to another level also. So that is like a level of research can be extended to any level. We can use n number of things in that particular thing. So like from where I end, the another person can start a number of research in that. So the further researchers will can use, if they can extend my research only if they know what I have done. So for that reason I have to make my work publish. Without publishing, again I am saying it is of no use, because it is available with me only. It is of no use to have that thing. So for that particular reason I have to make the thing available to the external individuals, or that for that we need a publishing. So that is the topic we have to discuss it today now. So that is the topic. And then in the contents of this today's discussion, we have writing a manuscript, then what are the various types of papers, how we can select a journal. Journal selection is there. Journal impact factor is there. There is a certain impact factor of a certain journal. What are that impact factors and all? What is the publication ethics? So ethics involved in the publications are to be discussed. Then defining the authorship. If we have more than one authors in a particular journal, how we can define an authorship in a particular journal. Then sections of the articles, how, what are the various sections, and then the peer review process. What are the various peer review process involved in the like publishing. I have sent a paper to a publishing house, so it involves a peer review process. So what is that peer review process involved in that? And then the acceptance criteria. So certain journals have a certain acceptance criteria, like it is not, if it is not like any journal, any paper I have sent it, it will be accepted as such. It has to be passed on with certain procedure to get it accepted. So maybe it is accepted as such, or maybe it is require some like revisions or something like that. So that is the acceptance criteria of a certain journals. So we have to discuss all these things in our today's discussion. Then the writing a manuscript. So the first important part is, when we have to write a manuscript or a paper or any article, what should be the title? So the first question comes in our mind, that what should be the title. So the title will tell will all about the direction of the research. So it is to be very carefully select the title of the research, because it again directs my research. So the title should tell each and everything about the research, that this particular research article will consist of which and what things in this. So the reader of that particular like title should ensure the writer of that title, and with the reader also, the reader should be very clear reading the title of the paper, that this particular article will tell this. So in that sense, the title should be very clear and precise in the nature, so that it will tell everything about what is the direction, what is the area of the research, what type of research I am doing in that. So that we have to select first the title, because research is answering the questions. So the question is what should be the title. So we have to make our question decide first, so that we can find the answers to that question. So we'll find the n number of ways how we can find the answer. For example, if we'll take the my title is to analyze the satisfaction level of the customers. So I'll take a basic simple example, like I want to analyze the satisfaction level of the retailers. So my title is the analyzing the satisfaction level of the retailer. So for that, the title is very clear. We have to analyze the satisfaction level. Now to analyze that satisfaction level, I have to find out the various tools. I can have the questionnaire method or sampling of the things. So we can do, and at last we can find the solution. Like this much is the level exist, and how we can make this level increase. So what are the various ways? Let's suppose we have analyzed from my research that the level of satisfaction is up to the level of like only uh, on the lower side. Now I want to analyze and I want to make the tools available, how we can make it increase. So that is the title should be very clear, and I should find the answers of what my question is or what my title is. So the research manuscript should be like, my answers or my findings should match with my title. It should not be like that the title is saying something else and my like research finding will be saying something else. So my title and my the like solutions or the finding must synchronize with each other. So that is the first thing we have to take care of while writing the research. Like the title should be very important, as we have done say that the title well defined is the work half done of the research. So that is the importance of the title in that. Then put the appropriate references in the context wherever required. So this is again a publication ethics, that we cannot write everything of our own. When we are doing the research, we have to make the something else, somebody else work we have to refer here. So we have to prepare and we have to cite those references wherever we are using it. So put the appropriate references in the context wherever it is required. Suppose I have mentioned your work in my research. So it is my duty to appropriate give citations to each and every work I have referred to. So that is the citations part. So I have to cite the another person and give the importance of his or her work in my research, and give the appropriate references in that. So there will be two things involved. One is the references and one is the bibliography. So like majority of the us are understanding these words as a interchangeably. So references and bibliography maybe are the same things, but they are actually not same. So references are those that actually referred in your research, and bibliography is the one which is the related reading to that research. Maybe I have not referred it, but it is a related reading to that. That is a bibliography. But the list of references are those which are actually referred in our like article or in our thesis or whatever. So that is the difference between the reference and the bibliography. So we have to make a references list. Now there is a certain like ways available how we can make these, because nowadays everything is done through like computers and so we have the option in the word available to have the insert citations and all. So we can make the use of that insert citation that automatically gives the numbering 1 2 3 4, and the complete detail of that paper will come in the API style or in the like Chicago style at the end of the paper. So in that we can make the appropriate references, and we should, and not we should, we must cite each and every reference coming in the context wherever it goes. Then comes make others read your article. So before publishing it, you have to make, because I have written it, so I have to make others read my article so that there is any errors available, because others can identify, because I have written it, maybe I'm not able to identify my mistakes. So the mistakes can be identified by the others. So I have to make others read my article before going into the publication cycle. So it is like before points, we have to make the articles read by the others so that any flaws or any errors in that can be corrected at that stage. Because others are seeing that particular article critically, which may I not do that, because it is my writing, it is my concept. The others will read the article and give their viewpoints, and every person have their own viewpoint in the research. And research is like nothing is right, nothing is wrong. Research is not like that this thing is right and this thing is wrong. Everything is right, but we have a proper justification for that thing. So if we have justified our doings, that is a right research. But if we can't justify the thing, that is a wrong. So that's why we have to make others read my article first, so that the other persons also can give me the viewpoint of the same. So that is the objective of like if we can make a PhD thesis. So internal PhDs like progress reports are there. So the progress reports objective is to have the viewpoints of the other like doctorates available in the department, so that they can also give the viewpoint that this particular thing will be done better in this way, not by this way. So to have a healthy discussion in that, and to have a viewpoint of more than one individuals involved. So that's why this stage is involved as the progress reports, in which we are making the various doctorates available, and will take the inputs of all the doctorates so that the research can be done in a better way. Then keep the appropriate length of the article, not too small and not too large. So again, it depends upon the types of paper. If it is an analysis based paper, it can be a small, but if it is like a review of literature based paper, so you have to include an extensive review for that, so it may becomes a large paper. Because it is a review of literature paper, so you have to review all the research available till date on that topic, so which is automatically becomes a larger paper. And the like the way to write a review paper is to have the comprehensive research up to that date. So meaning of that review of literature paper is, if anybody wants to do the research in that area, your review paper must be sufficient to find all the review available till that day. So he or she should not read any other paper. Reading your paper only will cover all the research up to that date. So that you have to decide the appropriate length. It depends upon the type of paper. If it is an analysis paper, it can be of the shorter length. But if it is like a review of literature based, it has to be a long, because it comprises of the complete ROL included till date. Then invest the time in writing the article well and effective. So it is not like in a hurry you have to do the research, because doing the meaningful research will takes the time. So we have to invest the time in writing the article with well and With the well means with the effectiveness and efficiency also. So it should be efficient also, and it should be like written well also. The results would be applicable to the like actual environment. It should not be like it's only confined to the research paper. It should be like it actually applied in the like actual atmosphere or the actual environment to make the meaningful output of the same. Then select the appropriate journal. The aim should not be too high and not too low. Now we have the various types of journals and publishing houses available, in which we have the certain indexes. Like the indexes are the Scopus Index, Web of Science. We have a list of PubMed journals. Then we have a Scopus, we have Web of Science, PubMed, UGC Care List. So we have then Globe, then Google Scholar list is there. So we have n number of scholars indexes available are there. So some journals are indexed in some database, some journals are related to some database and so. But nowadays we are focusing basically to publish our journal in minimum of a UGC care list. So, and these indexes are none other than to decide the quality of the. So, there are some journals or there are some publishing houses which are publishing the journals like for the sake of like business. So, they are taking the money and they are publishing the papers and they are not checking the quality and all. So, they are taking a hefty amount to publish the papers and they are making only the publishing very easy. They are not checking any quality and so, and they are publishing it. So there are certain journals like that also. We should avoid those journals.
Sir, kindly excuse me, sir. Slides are not moving, sir.
Ma'am, I'm like explaining this only, the last point of this slide.
Yes, fine, sir.
Yeah. So that it should be like my aim should not be too high and not too low. Too high means if I select a journal which is of very high impact factor, the it demands a huge quality of the same. So aiming too high means my chances of rejection of the paper is also very high. So the aim should not be too high but not too low also, that any paper can be accepted. So that's why, so I have to select a journal which has a like according to my paper which is a acceptance, a level of acceptance impact factor. So it should not be too low and not should be high. Then, with the various types of papers I have already discussed, like research articles, we have review papers, we have conference proceedings, and the discussion papers. So, conference proceedings are the one like we have presented one paper in a conference, and the conference proceedings will be published either in the ISBN or in the ISSN. So, journal has publishing a minimum standard of ISSN number. So ISSN number will be given for a journal and ISBN number will be given for a book. So there are certain conference which are publishing their proceedings in the form of book with a regulation given by the ISBN. And some conference are given their proceedings in the journal with the ISSN number. So both are workable, but we have to see its indexing. So we should select the conferences nowadays in which it is indexed with the Scopus or a Web of Science databases. So that is the various types of papers. Now the journal selection. So journal selection is the first point comes under the like we have made the paper. Now we want to publish in the journal. So we have to select the journals. So there are first type that is a specialized journal. So there are certain specialized journals and we should go for these specialized journals to publish my article. For example, I have written the paper on management. So there are certain XYZ journals available related to management and then to further maybe a finance management. So I have written a paper on financial management. So there are certain journals which are available, which is publishing the papers only related to finance. And there are journals who are the journal, like they are journal in not in the specific area. They are publishing the papers of medical also. They are publishing the papers of the diverse fields. So you can publish the paper in that. So it is not because the journal is accepting the papers for diverse areas. So you can do that, but the advantage of using these specialized journals are like we can increase our citation. Citations is so my individual citation score is there. So how many papers I have cited with? So I have published one paper, and how many persons have all actually read those papers and make the use? That is the citation. Like if 10 individuals read my paper, so that's my citation score will also increase by that. So if I published a finance management paper, so it has to be like a specialized journal. The advantage is the readers who want to do their research in finance will go for that financial journal. The probability of reaching will be more, because the reader who is interested in writing some finance paper will not go to a journal which is publishing in diverse nature. So he will be more inclined towards going to the journal which is like publishing only finance papers. So that is the advantage of using these specialized journals in publishing the research. So you have to search, like if you have written any topic, any research area, you have to see that what are the various specialized journals available in that particular area. So first you have to make the list of all those journals who are come under your specialized category, which is related to your particular specified research, so that their citations, the chances of citations will get increased. Otherwise, the citations will, you can publish, the paper can be published, it's all okay. But the chances of citation will not be like very high. And the another index for quality measurement is the citation index nowadays. So the citation index will indirectly check the quality of the paper, because if the citations are high, it automatically signifies that the readers are more reading it. Because of the more quality, the readers are interested in this particular paper. If the quality is not very high of that particular paper, the individuals are not citing those. They are not reading that because it is not of the quality. But if it is a quality paper, quality writing, the more and more individuals will start like citing those, and automatically it will reflect to the quality of that particular paper. So the citation score becomes increased if you try to publish in these specialized journals rather than the uh, a journal like which is publishing in the diverse nature. So that is the first, the specialized journals. Then the subscriptions, open access journals or the paid journals. So another category of the journals is like some journals are having like a paid one and some are the open access. So first we'll understand what is the subscription for the journal. So the journal is a publishing house. Maybe a journal is published by a publishing house, and it has to incur, if it is any journal, it has to support its cost. If it is a NGO also, like suppose an education institute also, but it has to incur its minimum cost involved in the publishing. The cost involved in the publishing includes the printing cost, includes like advertisement cost of that journal to promote that, and plus the editors and the reviewer cost also. So I'll explain in the like due frame of time, like what are the various editors and who are the reviewers are there. So I will explaining that, but the cost minimum to a journal is the costing of the print, the editor's salary, and the reviewers' payments, and basically maybe the marketing of that journal also. So the any publishing house has to incur, the has to like recover their basic cost from the printing of the journal. They are not like they are not, they are also like in the business, they are not making the loss. So if they are not making a loss, so anyhow if they are not making a profit, it should not be a loss also. So they have to minimum cover their cost at least. So for that they want any revenue cycle. So the revenue cycle can be done from the three angles. So if we any publishing house can earn from 3 points. The first point is they can earn or they can make a payment, and they can take a receipts or the revenues from the author. So I am writing a book and the publishing house is taking from the author. So that is the first revenue point for the publishing house. The second revenue point can be the users, can be the readers, like books. What are the books? Books are like, I have suppose written one book, and the books are like sale. The books will be sold in the market, and it will be getting from the books, the revenue, the publisher will get the revenue from the readers. It is not from the author, but it is from the user. Maximum books sale in the market, the publishing will get the more profit. So the revenue cycles are from the reader side. But if I'll take the revenue from the author, so this becomes like, so the author will give it. So now you have seen certain journals like maybe IITs or maybe in the government institutions, or so we can say, like government universities, IITs, IIMs. So these are the like who are not taken any, they are open access. Open access means, open access journals are those which is open access, like is freely available to the readers. Anybody can go to that journal, and everything nowadays is basically the e-journals. Hardly any physical journals are available nowadays. So majority of the journals are in the form of e-journals now. So e-journals means, and open access e-journals means you can go to the and type a Google, and on the Google you can type your journal topic also, and in that it is open available. Anybody can download the full paper from that. So that is your open access journals. But open access journals, so open access journals are those which are not taking anything from the readers, but they are maybe taking from the like authors for the same, because they have to incur their cost. So open access journals are those which are free to the readers, but maybe the cost, or maybe the cost to the authors in that. And the paid one is, the paid is the paid to the users, but maybe free to the authors.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Still, it's in first one, sir.
Sorry. The
You can
slide.
change. You can change the slide. Yes, sir. Right now, yes, it's fine, sir.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Now it is moving.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So that is the open access journals or the paid journals. So open access journals are those which are like free to the readers, but paid are the one which is like paid for the. So these are the difference between the open access journals and the paid journals. So being, and I'm giving a certain example, like if we have suppose like institutions like IITs or IIMs, so they are not free. They are free for the users also. They are free for the for the authors also. But still they are like sustainable in the market. So what are their sustainability? So they are not taking any revenue from the authors. They are not taking revenue anything from the readers, but they are government sponsored. So government is sponsoring those journals. So that's why they are like free for both. But otherwise, a private publishing house has to incur the cost, which is either by through authors or either through the readers. So it is a my choice that whether I want to select a journal which is an open access or a paid journal. There is a like trade off. So if we trade give on preference to the paid, so the advantage of the paid journal is, the example of the advantage of paid one is my citations will get increased, because it is a open access journals. Open access journals is a free to the users. I have paid it. So I have paid being an author, and it is freely open source available to the readers. So my citation will increase. So I'll pay 10,000 as an author fees, so that it is free to the users and my citation will get increased. But if I make in the open, if I make with the no fees, free publishing as an author, then it will be paid for the users, and users will be reluctant to pay the money, and the citation may get decreased. So it is like my priority whether I have to give more priority to the citation or to the publishing. So if my more priority is towards the publishing, whether the citations will increase or not, I should go with the paid one. But if it is like I want to increase my citations, my objective is to increase the citation score of me, so then I must go with the open access journal. I will pay it so that it will become free for the users. So that is the another point in the like journal selection. We have to check whether which we have to see. We have to select our journal with the open access or with the paid. So that is the another criteria for selection of the journals. Then third is the timeliness of the publication process. Now a certain journals takes a huge time for the publication. So like once you send a paper to them, it will take maybe a year or maybe 6 months or 8 months to get it published. So that is the another point you have to see if it is like required. If suppose a paper you have written and that there will be 2 points in the timeliness. One is you have published a paper to defend your thesis, and your thesis defend maybe 6 months later only. So you want a paper to be published in next 3 months. So and you have sent a journal paper and you have sent a paper to a journal who is taking maybe 1 year of the time to get it published. So that will not serve your purpose because it is still under the review process. It is not under published. So in that particular case, you have to see the journals whose timeliness of publication process is fast, who will be publishing a paper in a like quicker way, in a faster way. So that is the one factor. Another factor is like suppose you have done your research for today's scenario. If that particular paper will be published in a year, it is not your fault. You have written it, you have published it today, but the publication process of that particular journal is taking a longer period of 1 year or 1.5 years. And when it is published, the environment gets changed and all the things become obsolete. So what is the fun of research in that point? So you have written a particular research paper in a certain environment, but when it is published, the environment will get all changed. So there is no like fun of and there is no like advantage of writing that paper because the scenario will get changed. Now in today's time that scenario will not exist. So for that reason, if you think your paper or your article is in dynamic environment means which change over the time. So if you think that your paper is in the dynamic environment, you have to select that journal whose publication process is fast. But if certain research articles are like which is not changing very much in the environment side, so in that case we can select the journal, we can take a longer publication process also. So that is the next point in the selection of the journal, the timeliness of the publication process. Then next is checking the journal reputation. So journal reputation is also very like a stake in today's point. So reputation, sir, there are certain journals available nowadays which are like clone journals. Like one actual journal is there in the market which is of the renowned in nature, and another journal make a clone of the same. They have made exactly the same name, exactly same ISSN, and they have created their own website, but it is not a actual one. They have made a clone. Clone means a duplicate journal of the same, which is like only for fun of making the money. Because nowadays everybody knows like for education institutions or for the research defense, we have a minimum criteria for the publication in each and every institutions. Like I am there, you are there in the like colleges, so we have a certain restriction that we have to publish a certain papers in a year to get a maybe a growth prospect or to move from assistant to associate. So for career growth we require a minimum number of research papers each year, and plus with the research authors, research scholars also, we require like there must be, each university has their own condition but depends upon like 2 papers or 3 papers for from your thesis. Minimum requirement is this. So every publishing house will know this thing, and they are making the business out of it, and they are making the clone journals of the same to get a non quality paper and get it published. But it has of no use because it is published in a clone journal which like destroy your papers. You publish a paper in the clone one, and if you realize it is a clone one and now you want to send it into a actual one also, so it comes in the piracy one. So it comes in the plagiarism because it already published in the clone journal. So you have to see the clone and how you can check the clone journals. So you can have otherwise seeing the website you cannot predict that it is a clone website. So better is like if it is a indexed in Web of Science or it is indexed in Scopus, you can directly go to the Scopus and from their Scopus you can check the source homepage. So you can directly go to the source homepage of the Scopus website, and from the source homepage you can link to the website of that journal. So that is the way we can check if that particular journal is like actual one or it's a clone one. And then another way to check the reputation of the journal is the site score. There is a certain site score of the journal, so it should be like a moderate site score. It should not be less than 1. So you have to select that particular journal. Again, I am saying not too high, not too low. The site score should not be like too high and not to be too low. So appropriate citation score of a journal you can check on web in your Scopus index. Like the citation score should be a link between 1 to 1.5. So any journal who has a citation score of 1 to 1.5 is like a good journal to get it published. So, and there are certain journals who are like today it is indexed in Scopus, tomorrow they will be get out of the Scopus list. So that is also point to be because you cannot check. The Scopus is reviewing their list every maybe 3 months. So today you are publishing a paper in a Scopus index journal, but after 3 months it will get out of the list. You never know that which Scopus list will be get. The Scopus will delete which journals from their list after 3 months. So to check that particular thing, the citation score has to be checked. The Scopus will not get those journals out of its list which has a score of more than 1. The journal which is having a score of less than 1 always has a like an indication that they may get out of the journals after maybe 3 months or the next cycle of reviewing. But the journals whose score are like greater than 1, they are of the less probability that they will become out of the journal in the next reviewing cycle also. So you have to check those like reviewing citation score of maybe 1 or maybe more than 1 to check whether there will be actually the Scopus or quality index journals also. Another checkpoint is to see how many papers are they are publishing in a single issue. So there is a issues and volumes are there. So you have to check whether how many papers are they are publishing in a single issue. If they are publishing maybe 2,000 papers in a single issue, it must be an alarming point for you that it is a like false journal, it is not an actual journal, because they are publishing more than 2,000 papers or 2,000 pages issue is there. So they are publishing any paper they come to you, they are publishing it. So again, it is a checkpoint for you to check the volume of the papers publishing in a single issue. So you should select the journal with the less volume papers in a single issue. It should not be like that they are publishing n number of papers in a single issue and all are of non-quality, and the chances of like deletion from the Scopus or Web of Science will be very higher in this. So that is the another point of checking in selection of the journal. Like the first is your specialized, then the open access or the paid, timeliness, reputation can be checked with the site score, can be checked with this like the number of pages or number of papers in a single issue. So that we have to check in the research in the journal reputation. Then you have a next thing is Scopus, Web of Science, PubMed or UGC care listing of the journals. So we have to check our UGC care list issued by the UGC. So a UGC care list issued by the UGC in which they have categorized into A, B, C category of the journal. So one is the Scopus list. So one is the complete Scopus list is also there. So PubMed indexing is a sub part of the Scopus. So every paper in PubMed is included in the Scopus also. So whatever the papers are listed in PubMed are also in the Scopus, but PubMed is basically the index available for like medical sciences part. Web of Science is basically the index mostly which includes your like sciences journals, and PubMed is includes your medical journals. But Scopus is the one which includes a diverse list. Like a Scopus index journals have management also, medical also, sciences also. So the Scopus is nowadays like a vast, you can say, a database in which we can have n number of journals with a diversity. So, and nowadays majority of the institutions or universities will take this Scopus as a database, as a benchmark to increase or to have a quality evaluation. So they are saying that you have to minimum, like, or UGC care list, you have to publish a paper minimum in the UGC care list or in the Scopus index, so that we can evaluate or we can make a benchmark on the quality of that particular. So that is your general selection. Then comes the journal impact factor, which comprises of three questions: why, where, and what. So why? Impact factor evaluates the scholarly worth of an article. So why it is required to have an impact factor? So impact factor will evaluate the worth of a particular journal, that how much worth of that journal is in the market. So it is a market based evaluation, like how many persons are reading those papers published in that journal. So that becomes the impact factor. How, by how much that journal will create an impact in the market. So that's why it is called as the impact factor. So which evaluates the worth of a journal, and it helps a researcher to decide where to publish a paper with the maximum impact, and evaluation for promotion, grants, or the government funding, etc. So a journal impact factor will also determine for the evaluation of, like, if we have a research paper published in a journal with impact factor of maybe a 10, so that becomes like we can say that this paper will create a more impact in the market. So that will be evaluation for, like, government funding of the project also. So that is the one point in which we can say, like, it evaluates the worth of a journal in, like, how much impact it creates in the market. So that is your, like, why. Then where we can find this impact factor? So next question comes, I know the importance of the impact factor, that it will make the, like, evaluation or we make the worth of that particular journal, but where we can find those impact factors? So they are, like, impact factors nowadays are make, these publishing house are make the thing make false also, and they are deceiving the authors by saying that we have this much of impact factor. But you have to see the real impact factors maybe in the journal citation reports, eigenfactor.org, and SCI Imago Journal. So we have these three things in which you can check the actual impact factor of a journal, and you may not go with the citation score which they have published on their website. So maybe they have published on their website the higher impact factors, but you have to see the real impact factors of the journals through these three websites: the journal citation reports, eigenfactor.org, or the SCI Imago Journal rank. So where the actual impact factors are listed for those journals. So there is, like, where it is available. And what, how they are calculated? The impact factor of a journal is calculated by number of citations for the papers published in the journal in the previous 2 years, and divided by the total number of papers published in that 2 years. So it will be calculated as how many readers have actually read those papers in the previous 2 years. Like, the journal has published maybe 1000 papers in the past 2 years, and in that 100 are cited. So the citation or the impact factor becomes 100 divided by 1000. So 0.10% or 0.1 will be the, like, citations or the impact factor. So if the journal has published 500 papers in past 2 years, and maybe out of those 500, 100 are published, so 0.2 become the citations. 0.2 becomes the impact factor of that journal, that out of those 500 papers, 100 are cited by the various individuals in their further research also. So in that way it will be calculated, and in this way it can create the impact of the journal in that market. So that is the one. Then the ethics. So ethics is submit one article and one journal at a time. It should not be practiced in the publication ethics. You will publish more than one article at a time to different journals. So it is an unethical practice that you will publish today, you will submit your article in maybe n number of journals. It is not a right practice. It is not an ethics in the publication. So every time submit one article to one journal at a time. If maybe for one or the other reason, if get it rejected, maybe they are getting it rejection, then you can submit it in the another journal. So but submit one article to one journal at a time. It is like in unethical to have more publication, more sending one more than one article at a time. Then obtain permission from the other co-authors before sending the paper to the publisher. If maybe there are n number of authors in that particular journal, you have to take the permissions of each and every co-author before sending the paper to the publisher. So you must have the permission from the other co-authors also. It is not like you can only send the paper to a journal without taking the permission from your co-authors. So you have to take permission from all. Do not fabricate the data. So the data should be actual. Do not make it like play with the data. Do not make it false data, and also do not fabricate the data. It is again another ethical practice. And plagiarism is strictly not allowed in any publication, but if required, give the proper attribution or the references to that. The plagiarism means copy pasting the thing, which is strictly not involved in any. And nowadays, the plagiarism check can be very easy. Previously, it was very difficult to check the plagiarism, but nowadays we have a software databases available. We have the softwares which can check the existing research with my research. Wherever there is a similarity, it comes with the similarity index, and it will give me like the report, your paper is this much plagiarized. So we should strictly not involve with this plagiarism because it is a copyright issue. We have made the another person use, and it is a case of like theft only. So it is none other than theft. You are making the other things, other person, you are like making the things theft out of it, and it is a wrong practice, a clearly unethical practice to have a plagiarism content in that. But if you are copying anything, no doubt you can copy it, but you have to give otherwise then proper attribution of it and proper citation of it, then it is can be. Then defining authorship, then each author must have a substantial contribution. If you have 10 authors in your research paper, you have 4 authors, whatever, it has to be each and author must be involved in that. It is not like that any author which is not involved, only for the sake of name you are given the name of that particular author in the research paper. So each and every author should be involved in that writing, whether it will be the idea generation or discussions or the calculations or whatever. So in any way, one or the other way, he or she should be involved in that particular contribution of that research paper. It is not like that he is not contributing anything, but for the name's sake, his or her name will be included in the research paper. So that should not be the case. Every author should be the involvement in that particular paper. And responsibility and accountability lies with each author for the paper contents. So each author will be accountable and responsible for whatever they are writing in the article. Then types of the author, lead author. Lead author is also called as like usually the first author of the paper. Then corresponding author, who is corresponding the things with the journal. And the last author is the which is not a leading one also, it is not a corresponding, maybe a third, fourth, fifth author and so. And in case of a PhD dissertation paper, any PhD scholar will publish a paper, then the first author will always be a research scholar and the second author will be the guide. It is not like the guide is the first author, because actual work done is done by the research scholar itself. So research scholar will become always the first author and the guide will become always the second. And it has to be the order of the author must be negotiated among the authors before submission. Like suppose we have 4 authors, so what are the order of those authorship, like who is the first, who is the second, has to be decided among all the authors before the publication. It should not be conflict after the publication that I should be first or you should be first also. So it is a better practice to have this order of authorship must be decided before publication. Then sections of the article, which includes the title, abstract, introduction, ROL, then main body, then discussions, conclusions, and references. So this is the sections of an article, and this is the complete peer review process. So peer review process means it has to be reviewed. Article is reviewed in the blind peer review. Blind peer review means those are reviewers. They are not know who is the author. So my author details, my like contact details, my name are hidden, and those only the paper is sent to the reviewer, so that the reviewer will not come to know that who is the author of this. So they are reviewing it as a content. They are not reviewing that they are known to me being a suppose anybody knows to me and the reviewer knows me, so he is not like viewing the contents. He's saying because of it sent by him it is already okay. So it should not be like the case. So my contact details, my name should be hide, and then it will be sent to the reviewer. So the process will be like author submits an article, then it will be article assessed by the editor of that journal. So maybe the editor will get it rejected. Maybe the reason is it not related to the theme of the journal or so, and the paper will not be a quality enough to be get published in that journal. So the editor will reject it. So in the first cycle, the editor will reject the same. So the article will be rejected by the editor itself. If it is passed by the editor, it will be sent to the reviewers, and the editor will attach a reviewer to those paper. So maybe he is attaching 1, 2, 3 reviewers to that paper. So he will be sending a reviewers. Then the reviewers will review it with the blind review process, and they are not consulting each other. If there are 3 reviewers also attached to a paper, they are doing it independently. They are not contacting each other, and reviewer also not know who is the another reviewer. So in that process, the editor will also only know that who are the reviewers to this paper, but the reviewer itself does not know that who are the other reviewers to this paper. So now they are reviewing the paper, and the reviewers are like maybe certain revisions required. So it can be like reviewers assessed by the editor. Once the reviewers will give the reviews, it assessed by the editor, and editor will either reject it or it may require a certain revision. So any other revisions required, the author will submit the revised manuscript, and it again should go into the same process. And if it is gets accepted, then it goes to production, means publication, and then printing and all that comes of production, and then last is the publication in the form of e-copy or the hard copy. But majority of the journals comes under the like e-copy nowadays. Then the acceptance criteria will be like a work relevant to the scope of the journal. So acceptance criteria first is the under the theme. Like I have tell you like specialized journal. So my paper should be in this specialized one. It comes under the scope. Then discussion conclusion supported by the data analysis. So my data analysis should support my discussions or conclusions. Then results related to the problem and objective. Whatever my problem and objective is, my result should define with that particular thing. And then contents must be well written and logically organized, and equation figures must be contribute to the presentation. So these all things will relate to the like probability of having more acceptance. If it is a theme related, if it my data analysis will support my discussions, my results will relate to my objective or my questions, well written and logically organized, and I have given the proper numbers, it will be more probability to get it more acceptance. So that is the acceptance criteria in like publication. So and that's for my all. And if any queries and suggestions, I am very like welcome for that.
Dear faculty members, if you have any queries, kindly ask them.
Sir, one question from our participants. What is Thomas Reuters Journal, sir?
What is?
Thomas Reuters Journal.
Ma'am, I'm not getting your question, but can you type in the chat box?
Sure, sir.
What is Thomas Reuters Journal? Okay. So Thomas Reuters journals are, ma'am, basically like the Web of Science. So the Web of Science or the Thomas Reuters, we can say the interchangeably. So the Web of Science journals and the Thomas Reuters, basically Thomas Reuters are those which are related to the sciences. So this has again a publishing like index, which is publishing the paper, which is only an index in which we are making like more or less Web of Science journals come under this Thomas Reuters list. So that is the Thomas Reuters journal.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening to everyone. We are immensely grateful to the institutions for granting us permission to organize the Enlightening FDP. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed guest speaker, Professor Dr. Nibun Agarwal. Your insightful words and expertise have lasting impact on all of us. Thank you for sharing your valuable knowledge and inspiring us with your passion.
Thank you, ma'am.
Your,
Thank you. It's my
your,
pleasure.
pre- your presence has truly elevated our event, and we thank our participants for joining on FDP program. We appreciate your active participation and enthusiasm throughout the session. Your presence made it a truly engaging and insightful event. Thank you, one and all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Sir, thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. It's my pleasure. Anytime, anything, we are there.
Sure, sir. Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, ma'am. Welcome.